I want to talk to you about my friend Charlie Crawford. He's a 10-time NFR qualifier.
Charlie Crawford, time to just shake it out and win. Got it on him fast. Set
there
up.
We are.
Here's a day
nice
money
run.
lead. You betcha 3-8.
That's an absolute perfect run. Timing was perfect from the time the first swing is up. He's got the control. Charlie made it happen by being timed up with his horse with the steer, and being able to not just rope, but to pick that steer's head up without changing the momentum for the heeler at all.
We know his beautiful wife, Jackie, all three of their beautiful children, the founder of the Liberty and Loyalty Foundation, which this year will exceed $1 million raised for military and first responders. I've said it 1,000 times. Charlie, it's time to rope, nod and ride, whip and spur. I want to welcome you to the Charlie Crawford Podcast. Let's ride.
What I'm looking for in a head horse. First thing I'll ask any question, whether it's a heel horse, any kind of horse. I get on a lot of horses also at clinics, and the first thing I'll always ask, does this horse buck? Does he rear? Has he ever flipped over backwards? If I get a yes on any of that, I am out. I will not get on him. I will not set foot, and I dang sure won't even show up to even ride him. Because to me, main thing is to stay safe. And so those are three questions I definitely always make sure that I'm up front with right off the bat. Next question I would ask, and what I'm looking for in a horse, is the horse willing? Does he want to do good, or does he want to do bad? Like, you can tell this horse he doesn't want to go in the box. He wants to kick his butt out. Just not willing, doesn't want to do anything. To me, if they have an attitude, I am out. I don't want no part of it. Because they're usually, when they have an attitude, they're going to try to keep you from winning something going down the road. But if I have a horse that maybe doesn't have maybe some of the knowledge that he should, but he's willing, that's very attractive to me. I want a horse that wants to please. That's going to go a long ways for me. Even if the horse doesn't fit me, he'll fit somebody else. Is the horse papered? If so, how is he bred? There's a lot of breedings that are very appealing to me. There's a lot of breedings that are not appealing to me. So you got to find out, what do you like, what don't you like, as far as breeding goes, and if you're going to pay attention to that. And if he's papered, horses usually with papers are worth more money. So if the horse doesn't fit you, it's a lot easier to sell a horse that has papers than not, because everyone's always usually concerned about how old the horses can be, because there's a lot of people that will not tell you the truth or not know. And so I like horses with papers, unless the horse is just dirty good and I know I can win on him and it doesn't matter. Then it doesn't matter if he has papers or not. But I like having papers. Do you like mares or do you like geldings? No studs for me. I'm not in any spot for a stud. Studs are a lot of work, a lot of maintenance, and you got to be pretty educated on being able to handle a stud. So for me, no studs. Mares, if you got a good mare, it's pretty hard to beat. But you don't see a whole lot of mares at the very top level. Chris Cox and I had a conversation about it one time, and he was talking about sometimes he doesn't think mares are even kind of built for the top level head horses, just because of the amount of emotions that they have. And there's drugs for that helps, but like where their ovaries are on their saddle and how they take the trailer, how they take all the stress, and just how hard it is on a head horse for it to be a mare at the top level. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible. That's just why you don't see as many mares, I think, as geldings at the NFR, because at top level, I'm not sure if they're quite wired to handle that much stress. But a good one is. But a good one can, because they're out there. It's just you don't see it as common. Now, a lower numbered head horse is a mare, and if she's a good mare, great. I'm all in. But geldings are just dumber. It's amazing what would have happened if most of us guys were gelded at a young age. We'd probably be millionaires right now. But they're just they're more to business. They don't have the emotions that a stud has, and they don't have the emotions that a mare has. And so that's why geldings are a lot of times very, very appealing. Can the horse run? For me, that's a big one. I want to make sure that horse has got some speed, especially in a lower numbered roping, to where you're not using your rope. You're going to want that horse to be able to get to position a little bit faster than competition. That way that shaves time off your run. So I want to make sure that horse can run. And, a lot of this is, what's going to fit your style. I have a rider horse chart. So if you ride with a lot of intensity and you ride real wired, and that horse is real wired, then both of you are kind of be out of control. So if you ride real wired, you might almost want a slower horse or a more mature horse that can kind of take that, or even an older horse, where it almost might bring your energy level, might bring his energy level up to try a little harder. And so that balances each other out. Do you ride real slow? Do you ride real dead almost? Well, if you're on a horse that's slow, that you have to hustle, that's not going to fit your style very good. So a lot of times guys that ride with a little bit lower demeanor kind of helps a horse that has a little higher demeanor, and you can almost use that horse's energy to kind of balance each other out. And then, are you a roper that likes to reach? Well, if you like to reach, sometimes a horse that can run will almost get in your way. So you might want a slower, flatter horse to where you can use your rope more. So like I say, you're just trying to find what style that fits you to where you can figure out what horse you're looking for. Does the horse score? Does he score good? Does he elevate his front feet when the gates bang? That can create being late, especially at a World Series start. Does he score dead? Does he have to kick start him to get him to go? Well, same thing. At a World Series start, that might make you late. I want them where they might move their feet a little bit, but they stay behind your hand and they leave flat. What that means is when my hand drops and I get to the front, their feet are on the ground and they're getting somewhere. That's what I'm looking for in a horse when he scores. Does he look? Does he look away? Does he kick his butt out? All that stuff right there will cost you money. I want him looking right between the reins. That's what I'm looking for in a horse. How big is the horse? If they're 14 hands, I don't know if that's quite big enough for a head horse. I think 14.3, in my opinion, is kind of borderline right there. I've gotten quite a bit of use out of a horse 14.3. Much smaller than that, you got to be roping some pretty small steers. 15.3 to 16 hands. 15.3 is kind of almost my top. 16 hands is probably my top, but in that range right in between there, that's about as big as I want. If they're too big, it's harder for them horses sometimes to match that stride with a smaller horn steer, because if they're too long and too big, sometimes your stride won't match up to a steer that has smaller horns. Now those kind of strides with bigger horns fit pretty good. So a lot of it depends on like what horn size are you also roping? How is the horse move in the corner? Does he duck? Does he bow out around your left leg and move into your right leg and get pulled, down the pin? All those things. Does he get on his butt and he move his shoulders right there? Does he stay in control of where your hand goes? That's what I'm looking for. I don't want one that's got that big move where as soon as I rope, he's leaning on my left and wanting out of there because I can't control it. To me, that's not going to help me be able to handle steers. So I want that control in that corner. How does he face? How does he frame across the pin, and how does he set up his face? Does he get his butt up underneath the rope and then have to face all at once, 180 degrees? Does he stay framed good so he frames across the pin or makes it easier for him to face? Does he hang up in the face? Does he load up in the face? Does he face on his front end, throws slack? Or does he keep that rope tight right there and pivot that butt around that front end right there, be looking right at the steer? That's what I'm looking for. How does this horse work in competition? Is this an older horse you're looking at? Does this horse work differently in the practice pen than he does in competition? Some horses get pretty smart. They know the difference between competition and practice. So those are little things. I've also seen some horses, believe it or not, that actually work worse in practice and better in competition. So those are all things you need to know about as you're looking for him. Is this horse green? Has he ever been to a jackpot? Has he ever been to a roping? Is he still getting nervous when he goes to a roping? How advanced is your roping? Because to me, a beginner roper does not need a beginner horse. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible. I've seen it work, but it's very rare. And a lot of times, a lot of people get themselves hurt doing it because you're not as experienced enough to help the horse learn how to do things. And so if I'm a beginner, like especially my kids, they're going to be on an older, experienced horse is going to take care of them. Let them learn how to rope first. Let them learn how to compete. Then the more knowledge they get as a rider, then they'll be able to work on something that's not as advanced as far as the horse, and then kind of help the horse a little bit. But I'm very, very high on if a green horse needs an experienced rider, and an experienced rider needs a solid horse. I think that balance works very well. Does this horse also fit your budget? If you've only got a $20,000 budget, but you're looking at a $50,000 horse, don't waste the owner's time. And watch videos. If you can tell that horse doesn't fit your style, don't do it. If you can tell that horse can't run, don't go try him. If you need a horse that can run, whatever all the things we've already talked about, if he doesn't fit in line with kind of what you're looking for, and you can tell it's not going to be a fit, don't do it. Don't waste your time and don't waste the owner's time. If you do feel like it's a fit, I like bringing my healer. Schedule a time where you can go rope with the guy that owns the horse. See what kind of steers he has. Make sure he has steers that's going to fit like what your level is. You know, for me to rope a bunch of training steers and see if this horse can handle the top level, I'm not going to be able to find out much. So you're going to want to make sure that they have steers there that are going to fit what your competition is. And then I bring my healer. And I go make 4 or 5 runs and let them rest in between. But I'm not going to make training runs. I want to make runs just like I'm wanting to make, like I'm trying to win something. So if you're a 4 or a 5, try to rope like you're in a whatever the roping competition is that you're in with that healer. You know, if you got, you know, if you guys are number 11, number 12 team, go try and make those type of runs. And not duck the horse, obviously, but I mean, try to see like if does that horse fit your style? Does it fit right as you're trying to win something? Because I've made the mistake a few times as trying some horses and I was almost just practicing on them. And I wasn't getting the full feel of what that horse felt like as I was trying to win. And so I made some mistakes doing things like that. And if he fits, and if you like him, he fits your stride, he fits your budget, fits all the check marks, what you're looking for, make sure you bring a trailer. Because there's some owners that do not like it when you just show up with a pickup. They feel like that's wasting their time. And so bring a trailer. And if he fits, then get a vet check appointment. Hand him a check for what it is, post-date it to where, you know, you're able to get to a vet. Even maybe you can just get a vet check, you know, an appointment with a vet, and maybe even before you try the horse if you think it's going to work. Then that way you at least have a time where maybe you can structure it as soon as you try the horse. You can take it to the horse to the vet, and then that way the sooner the better. When it comes to a vet check, I want to get a soundness evaluation. I want to have him, you know, trot the horse around, flex that horse, see if he sees anything on the hocks and the back and the knees, things like that. And then I always want to make sure that if he's sound after that, get x-rays of the front feet. I want to see what those coffin joints looks like. I want to see what the navicular looks like. And if he's clean from there, I'm buying him. Now, if you have enough money, you go ahead and get a full $2,000, $2,500 vet check and make sure he's perfect. But what I'm looking for is to make sure the main things are there. And those are the things that I think will make sure you don't get injected with something that as soon as you buy the horse, he's done. You know, if he's torn something, you know, that's not good. If he's got something that's broke, that's not good. If he's got navicular changes or, you know, he's maybe foundered before, you know, suspensory issues, you know, things like that. You want to know those things to know what the longevity is in that horse. And, you know, stay safe. Make sure that you kind of find out what your strengths and weaknesses are. That way you kind of know what you're looking for. Good luck out there.